21 teams to go on my road to predict all 131 teams this college football offseason. We are moving on to the Buffalo Bulls, a team last year that, had a lot of solid talent, a lot of solid pieces on it, but yet were unable to really get anything tremendous going a season ago. This was the Buffalo Bulls team that was fairly disappointing a season ago, to say the least. And they are losing a lot of talent, especially on the offensive end, but losing some pretty key pieces on defense there as well that could really, really hurt this team. Now, there are some people that expect Buffalo to improve in 2022, but that is the question. Will this team get better in 2022, or will 2022 be a year where Buffalo maybe even takes yet another step back? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason, which means I'm doing your favorite team. Chances are I've already done them. How you can find out, hit the subscribe button, go through my channel. I got playlists that you can search through to find your favorite team. But in case you don't find your favorite team there, hey, no worries. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded. To fans of the Buffalo Bulls out there, you guys are going to know this team a lot more than I do. So, you feel like I missed something, you want to add something, whatever have you, leave that in the comment section down below, and I will be happy to hear what you guys have to say. So, let's talk about the Buffalo Bulls in 2022. This is my 10th ranked team in the Mid-American Conference coming into the 2022 college football season. Last year, again, as I said in my intro, fairly disappointing for the talent that was on this team, and we'll get there here in a little bit, but they were 4-8, 2-6 in conference. Just overall not a very good football team. When you take a look stats-wise, though, this team statistically was fairly solid. Offensively, 410 yards per game with around 29 points per game. And then on the defensive end, 416 yards per game allowed with around 30 points per game allowed. So the defense definitely could use some improvements, especially in their rushing attack, or especially in their rush defense. Gave up almost 200 yards per game on the ground a season ago. And again, disappointing for the talent that was on this team, because there was a lot of solid offensive talent here on this team. And part of it was quarterback Kyle Van Treese, who has since transferred out of the program. Had 1,861 yards, 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, rocked a 61% completion percentage. Now, it was not the best of years for Kyle Van Treese, but if he can make some improvements, get some things working for him, I think Kyle Van Treese can have a bounce-back season in 2022. Dylan Mcduffie and Kevin Marks are two phenomenal running backs that leave this room. Dylan Mcduffie had 1,049 yards and 11 touchdowns a season ago, and Kevin Marks, who was a fairly solid option behind Dylan Mcduffie, had 414 yards and 5 touchdowns a season ago. So you lose both of those running backs out of this running back room. In the wide receiver room, hey, you lose guys like Dominic Johnson, who had 457 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then Bernard Porter, kind of a backup role there, 143 yards. Sadly, no touchdowns for him. Tyler Stevens, a tight end, is also gone, had 157 yards and a touchdown last year, and Jake Mulinich, another tight end you're going to see leaving that pass-catching room. On the defensive side, you have Taylor Riggins and Eric Black, a couple pretty key defensive linemen gone. Riggins had 4 sacks last year. Black, 2.5 sacks. Mcduffie Wright and Tim Terry, a couple names you'll see gone out of the linebacking room, but Mcduffie Wright was the 4th leading tackler last year, also had 2.5 sacks, 5 passes defended, kind of did it all for this Buffalo defense, and you're going to be losing him. Jamarcus Ingram, a defensive back, is going to be gone, had 3 passes defended, 46 tackles, was pretty solid option back there. In fact, was one of their better defensive backs a season ago. Corey Gross is there as well, 68, is gone as well, 68 tackles from a season ago. And then Apri Washington, another name you'll see leaving this defensive back room. There are some others that I could have thrown on this list, but let's look at the talent that Buffalo has coming back. Well, that quarterback next year probably is going to end up being Matt Myers, right? 703 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions a season ago. Now, he also, much like Kyle Van Treese, did not have a great season. So, in my opinion, Kyle Van Treese, better quarterback than Matt Myers. We'll see what happens with Myers this year, how much improvements he makes, what happens with him this upcoming season. But he also had a worse completion percentage than Kyle Van Treese, had a 54% completion percentage. So, it's not like you're getting a upgrade, or a proven upgrade, I guess I should say, at the quarterback position from last season. Now, he may be good for 2,000 yards this year, and that in part is to what he has coming back at the wide receiver position. So Quinnen Williams, Jamari Gassett are a couple names coming back for this team. Williams had 835 yards last year, will be a solid option for this team. Gassett had 270 yards, again, will be a solid option. But a couple transfers coming into the wide receiver room. You have Jalen Booby Curry from Arizona and Justin Marshall over from Louisville. Are two Power 5 transfers coming in that should be huge parts to this passing attack. And the rushing attack, there are still lots of solid names back there. Ron Cook is one of them. Was the second leading rusher last year at 440 yards and 3 touchdowns. Mike Washington, another name you'll see back there as well. So offensively, they definitely have some stuff to work through, especially how good's that quarterback play from Matt Myers. But I think the wide receiver talent is there. The running back talent is there. It's just a matter of how does Matt Myers play this year. On the defensive side, you have Damon Williams, Max Michel, George Wolo coming back on the defensive line. Williams had 6.5 sacks last year. That led the team. But you're also getting another Williams. And in fact, he's a transfer over from Nebraska in Damian Williams, who's a defensive line linebacker, edge rusher type player. Your best defensive player from a season ago when James Patterson comes back at 114 yards, 4 touchdowns, or had 114 tackles, 4 sacks, a touchdown a season ago. Otherwise, you get Sean Dolak back at the linebacker position. Defensive backs Marcus Fuqua, Isaiah King are coming back, and then Jamin Muse is a transfer that put up pretty solid numbers at his former program and should be a big part to this Buffalo secondary. Let's take a look at what the Bulls have to deal with on the schedule this upcoming season. As you saw a little preview of my percentages, and there that goes. Technical difficulties all over the place. There you go. There's the schedule for the Buffalo Bulls. I apologize for the craziness that just happened on screen. But let's take a look at this Buffalo schedule. You got some road games against some pretty solid teams and teams that are going to be real competitive in their respective conferences this year. Maryland being one of them. Now, that's kind of the dark horse team in the Big Ten, but they have a very lethal passing attack with Tagovailoa back at the quarterback position. And speaking of quarterbacks coming back, well, Grayson McCall returns for Coastal Carolina, and that's going to be a very dangerous Chanticleer team in Sunbelt play this upcoming year. Both those games you have on the road could be tricky ones to win. Otherwise, you have non-conference games on the road against UMass. Watch out for Ellis Merriweather, the running back there, can put up 100 yards per night easily, but otherwise UMass not a very formidable football team. And then you have a game against Holy Cross there as well. Games in conference, road games against Eastern Michigan, Bowling Green, Ohio, and Central Michigan. Home games against Miami of Ohio, Toledo, Akron, and Kent State. So let's dive in a little bit deeper to this Buffalo schedule. So Maryland's a team that's going to have a solid passing attack this year. Their defense does need some improvement, but I think for this being the first game for Buffalo, their first game with Matt Myers being that starter in 2022, I don't think they're going to have much luck against a team that has a lot coming back like the Maryland Terrapins. Coastal Carolina, I think, is going to be another hard game for them to win. That's a team that has a lot of solid talent returning for them as well. Even that road game against UMass, I would watch out for. Now, Buffalo should be the favorite, and you would think would be able to pull out that win. But again, Ellis Merriweather is a name to know. Not a lot of people are going to talk about him. He's not going to get all the headlines just because look at who he plays for. But he's a very, very solid option at the running back position and can tear it up on the ground. And again, this is the Buffalo team that had trouble stopping the run a season ago. Otherwise, your pretty easy win in non-conference play should come against Holy Cross. But when you take a look at the rest of the schedule, their road games are not easy in conference play. I mean, Eastern Michigan is going to be a solid team right around that bowl game threshold yet again this upcoming season. Will have to replace Ben Bryant at quarterback. We'll see if his replacement can be as effective as him. On the road against Bowling Green, that's the top team in returning production, looking to improve on a 4-win season from last year where they pulled off an upset against Minnesota. Ohio was the team that people are expecting to improve there as well. Not major improvement expected from this Ohio team, but they were a little bit of a disappointment in my eyes a season ago with some of the talent there. They are losing some of their better pieces, but it's a Bobcats team that should be a little improved in 2022. And then Central Michigan is one of the front runners in the conference and have one of the best running backs in college football, Lou Nichols. Their home games are against a lot of contenders, so their home games do not get easier. Miami of Ohio is a team that absolutely can push for that division. Toledo, another team that can push for their division in the Mid-American Conference. Akron, well, that's probably a fairly easy game. Akron not going to be a very good football team this year. And then Kent State can also push to win their respective division. Now, I don't do game-by-game predictions. I do a more percentage-based outlook to me predict a team's record. So if the game's in red, I just don't see you winning the game. If the game's in orange, I still don't see you winning. But hey, it is college football, and upsets can happen. Yellow, 50-50, high upset potential games. Games in yellow-green are games that you should win. But hey, you got to watch out for teams on the other side of the ball. And games in green, I do have you winning. So should be able to beat Holy Cross. And I'm going to say, even though with the threat of Ellis Merriweather, they probably should be able to beat UMass. That's not a very talented football team otherwise, and should be able to beat Akron there as well. Kind of in the same boat with that UMass program. Now, a game that they probably are not going to win this year is that road game against Maryland. In fact, I probably don't even think they're going to be able to beat Coastal Carolina there either. Those are two teams that, well, Maryland's going to be competitive in the Big Ten this year, and they're capable of pulling off some upsets within that conference. And Coastal Carolina is going to be one of the front runners in the Sun Belt Conference this year. And both of these teams have pretty lethal passing attacks, even with what Coastal Carolina lost on the wide receiver front of things. I think those are two teams that Buffalo's going to have a really, really, really hard time beating. And you could put that Coastal Carolina game in red if you wanted to. When you take a look in conference play, I think they're going to have a tough time beating Eastern Michigan. Again, a team that's right on that bowl game threshold. Miami of Ohio, they have probably the best quarterback in this conference coming back in Gabbert, coming back on this team. Lots of solid options around him. Toledo, that's a team that a lot of people expect to be a front runner in this conference. Central Michigan, hey, very well could be one of the better group of 5 teams in college football. Lou Nichols is back there, one of the best running backs in the country. In fact, led the nation in rushing yards a season ago as a freshman. Who knows what he can do as a sophomore? Could we see 2,000 yards out of Lou Nichols this upcoming season? I think it's a pretty darn good possibility. Kent State is on the schedule there as well, and I think they're going to have a tough time beating them. While the Flashes do lose Dustin Crum at quarterback, a lot of pretty solid talent coming back for that team. Now, besides Akron, I think you do have 2 winnable games in conference play. However, they come on the road. That's a road game against Bowling Green and a road game against Ohio. So Bowling Green, still not the most talented team in the Mid-American Conference by any stretch of a mile. That's a team that returns a lot of talent. That's going to be a hard game for Buffalo to have to go on the road and win. Same thing with that road game against Ohio. I know the Bobcats were not super impressive last year, but that is a Bobcats team that you need to be made aware of what they have coming back and some of their weapons in 2022, because it could be a team that might surprise a couple people in the Mid-American Conference. But when I look at this schedule, when I look at this Buffalo team, I don't really see Buffalo doing much exciting things this year. I don't see them necessarily taking a step back, but no steps forward I think will be taken for Buffalo. Or actually, I see Buffalo taking a little bit of a step back. I lied to you. I apologize. I see Buffalo taking a step back this year. One thing I haven't mentioned throughout this video was the offensive line last year was just not that great, right? And they're losing some pieces on the offensive line that I didn't mention in this video. I see Buffalo going 3-9. I'm not high on this Bulls team. I do not think they're going to be great this year, especially with what they lose at the running back position. Now their wide receiver position, definitely getting some transfers in there, which will help, but I just don't see this Bulls team doing much in 2022. That's my prediction for the Bulls this upcoming season. Let me know what you guys think about this team in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe, help support the channel. And remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.